was at Harvard that I met my mentor, Kenneth W. Haskins. In addition to being an exceedingly wise man, Ken's reach was broad and extensive. He grew up in the Bronx. He was known for his advocacy of decentralization and community control of schools. He insisted that only through this type of administration could we protect our children. He said, only through this type of administration can we protect our children from a society that never meant to educate these children in the first place. That's a quote from Ken. Ken was an early promoter of the movement that culminated in the decentralization of the District of Columbia Public Schools. In 1967, he became principal of the Morgan Community School in Washington, D.C., and which was one of the nation's first community-controlled schools in modern education. Ken was named vice superintendent of the D.C. public schools before joining Harvard in the early 1970s. He joined Harvard as co-director of the Principalship Center. He also was a research associate and senior lecturer at the Graduate School of Education. I met Ken when I entered the Harvard Graduate School of Education in 1977. Ken had a unique style with Black students at Harvard. He engaged us in an easygoing, collegial kind of way. He was steadfast and true to his word, and he always followed up. In 1978, Ken was named president of the Roxbury Community College, RCC, in inner city Boston. Before he officially accepted the position, he asked me whether I would support him during his tenure there. My work at Roxbury Community College was rewarding and productive. At Ken's request, I wrote the Strengthening Developing Institutions program, which was referred to as Title III, the Title III proposal. And the college submitted this proposal to the Department of Education. And the Department of Education funded the proposal for several $100,000. I ended up supervising the establishment of all 5 programs in the Title III grant. This meant extending my stay at the Ed School for an additional year. I took over the direct implementation of an OD intervention, an organization development intervention for the administrators of RCC. And I drafted my dissertation on the entire process as a participant observer. At the Ed School, I learned from doing my qualifying paper, which was on institutional planning in historically Black colleges and universities. I learned that I needed folks on my dissertation committee who had direct experience in administrative leadership in higher education. My committee of advisors were very well-grounded in theoretically based academic research, and that served me well. However, my dissertation was slated to be a real OD intervention, organization development intervention, with the administrators of Ken's RCC, and I needed more folks with actual management expertise in academia. I expressed my concern to Linda Wilson, the Ed School's Senior Associate Dean, and without a moment of hesitation, Linda volunteered to be my new advisor. I was totally amazed and blessed. She immediately followed up with, "Do you mind if I ask Dean Ilbasaka to also be on your committee?" Imagine having both the dean and the senior associate dean on your dissertation committee. In my opinion, you're either going to sail flying high or sink floating real low. While I was flying high, I went to ask my former professor, Lee Bowman, one of the major gurus of modern day academic leadership and organizational behavior. I asked Lee to be the third person on my dissertation committee. When I discussed with Dean Wilson how I should manage all these changes with my then current advisor, she said, "I'll handle that." Well, Thus, Ken and I had the support we needed to get the work done. Wow, as I have mentioned, Ken's reach was broad and extensive. Another thing I learned at Harvard was to keep my eyes on the prize, to the exclusion of other things that other people might want me to see or do. Ken told me that there were always going to be numerous important life events competing for my time. He said that I would need to establish my order of priorities early on, before the crisis arose, so that I would not waste time pondering upon difficult, nearly impossible choices in the middle of a crisis. Ken left no doubt what my first strong principled choice must be if I intended to earn that doctorate. He said, Helaine, getting the doctorate is time limited. You complete the work and you get the doctorate. Finish. On the other hand, life events continue. Ken had a way of guiding me without taking over. He would calmly say what he had to say. Then he collaborated closely with me as a partner to create or redesign various approaches. Ken rarely, if ever, appeared to be critical. I suppose that was because he saw himself functioning as a partner in our projects, more so than as a supervisor. Working with Ken strengthened me and prepared me for what lay ahead for me in higher education administration. Because of my work with Ken, I was confident and ready for other challenges. And they came. Immediately after graduating from the ed school, I went to work at Morehouse College with Hugh Gloucester, president of Morehouse and former chair of the communications department at Hampton Institute, where I went to school and worked in Hugh Gloucester's office. In 1981, Hugh hired me and set me up in the office right next to his own. He and I took the entire Morehouse institution through a formal, long-range planning process that included the participation of not just alumni, but distinguished alumni, distinguished faculty, distinguished administrators. Morehouse is full of distinction, and student representatives. Together, we rewrote the entire 10-year institutional plan for Morehouse College, including rewording the mission statement. This 8-month-long process, campus-wide, helped to garner tens of millions of dollars in new money from the Department of Education and elsewhere. At Clark Atlanta University, across the street from Morehouse, through a competitive process, I won the opportunity to establish their Center for Faculty Development. We sent faculty to graduate school for higher certification. We created a heavily utilized faculty library, and we sponsored an array of stimulating workshops and seminars. Another remarkable and abiding trait of Ken Haskins was his trustworthiness. Ken was a person whom I trusted fully. Ken and his wife Ernestine relocated to Atlanta in the late 1980s. They found me still in Atlanta. The last time that Ken and I were together, we saw a rainbow as we were walking down the street in Southwest Atlanta. Ken and I had just finished lunch, where we had been reminiscing over how much we had been able to get done and how much there was left yet to do. For some reason, he and I had a tremendous chuckle over the fact that there was still so much left to be done. We chuckled, recognizing that our good nature rested upon the fact that we understood that we shall always be in search of those golden eggs hidden deep within that elusive pot of gold. I salute Kenneth W. Haskins.